I just wanted the world to swallow me. Nani, nani, they call it broccoli hair, pineapple hair. So expect such and everyone was looking up at my hair, and I was going into class. When I walked into that paid 1,000 yen, guys, they're charging you per braid in most. Hey friends, welcome to the new episode of the Free My Skin podcast. My name is Upendo Nice Barasa, and I share my experience as an African and a Black person living in Japan. I also create content on teaching English in Japan, lifestyle, and just give you a general idea of what it's like living and working in Japan as an English teacher. Today, I'm going to talk about the most embarrassing things that have happened to me in Japan. And majority of them are going to be in the school setting rather than outside, because that's where I spend most of my time. The first one obviously has to be hair. Guys, I was traumatized. And if you're a Black person, you have to be prepared. First of all, learn how to do your hair, whether you're a man or a woman. Nobody here, we do have people who do hair, but it's very, very expensive and very rare, and you have to go to like places like Tokyo. It's terrible when you are placed in a rural area or somewhere far from a city, major cities where many Black people, Africans live, because in smaller cities, especially those that are very small, interior, village like, rural, you might not find people who can do hair. But just to give you an overall view, getting braids done in Japan, labor plus the braiding hair extensions, it could cost you anywhere between 20,000 being the cheapest, all the way to 50,000 Japanese yen. That's around 150 USD to around 450 USD. Yes. So it's very expensive, and it's not something you will do every month. For the men, I think, I don't know about the prices for cutting your hair, but I want to believe that we have more places that do women's hair compared to male. I've never seen a black barber in Japan. Sorry, I've never seen one, but I know they're there, but also very expensive. But I've seen some Japanese salons that have specialized in cutting Black people hair, doing Black people hair. There's one, I think, called Sakano Kam on Instagram. They braid hair for both Japanese people and African people. But I hear ridiculous prices sometimes. There are people who charge per braid 1,000 yen. Guys, they're charging you per braid in most Japanese salons, those who have specialized in doing Black people hair. They charge 1,000 yen per braid. 1,000 yen is like maybe $8 or $10, I don't know, per braid. So if you have 90 braids, you're paying 90,000 yen. And I see a lot of Japanese go there because I guess that's where they're comfortable. When they want to have like Black people hairstyles, they pay that much. Yeah, that's ridiculous to me. Anyway, the first time I had the most embarrassing experience was I had my hair in a bun. Like you guys, when I do my videos, you've seen my hair up in a bun, like a high bun or just a bun here, or a low bun. Low buns, I don't think, it doesn't get reactions because it's normal here, it's big. That would be surprised, but not like a wow. But the high bun, however, the top one, the one that we put it here. One time I had that, and I went to my junior high school. Guys, I regretted that day. When I got into the teacher's room, obviously teachers don't have wild reactions, even if they're surprised. They just say, oh, nice hairstyle. But they wouldn't say anything. And then, mind you, I was very confused as to why I got that reaction, but let's get into it. I walked into the student hallways, and everyone's like, hey, nani, hey, nani. Nani is like, what? I think in Japanese, what? And there were very loud reactions. And trust me, Japanese junior high school students are very shy. when they all get surprised in unison, everyone wants to see what is this that everyone is shocked by. So the whole hallways, little giggles, surprises, and reactions, and everyone was looking up at my hair, and I was going into class. When I walked into that class, everyone's like, "Hey!" in unison, guys, "Hey!" laughing. Some doing this. Trying. Another one was trying to tie her hair like this. It was a very weird feeling, and I remember feeling so terrified. I was so terrified, guys, so terrified. And I felt this embarrassment just creep my body, and the whole class, literally for the whole lesson, everyone was just looking at my hair. And if you know Japanese people, their reactions are very dramatic. When you tell them something cool or something interesting, they just exclaim like, "Hey, sugoi!" Sugoi means like cool, something like that. They exclaim in that manner. So imagine everyone exclaiming like that in a class full of 30 or 40. Imagine. And you have to teach this class. Now, everyone, because they talk amongst each other, oh, maybe you walked past them during, when you're going to class. It means when you go to the next class, it's the same reaction. I think that's one of my most embarrassing moments. The whole day I was shaking. I remember just standing there and I didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what to do with myself, with my hands, with my body. I just wanted the world to swallow me. Because the whole lesson, already you're a foreigner, you're a black person, you're from Africa. Already you being there, it's like this huge thing. Now imagine your hair being something that, hair is something very different. I would not worry about my skin if you're surprised that I'm black. But my hair, that thing traumatized the hell out of me. And then, okay, obviously, after that incident, I became very insecure of the high bun, but I was very shocked because in all my elementary schools, that's the hairstyle I used to wear almost every single day, every time. And I never got that reaction. In fact, these are kids. I expected them to have more questions, wanting to touch, curious, but none of them bothered about my hair. No one cared, no one looked, nobody said anything. In all my 3 elementary schools, the junior high school is where the drama happened. So I really don't understand why that's a thing, because I expected the kids to even be more surprised. And it's funny because the junior high school students were surprised, but I've never gotten that reaction with the kids, regardless. In fact, there is no hairstyle that my kids were overly surprised about. Yeah. So I don't know why that was the case. I expected these ones to have that reaction and not the older kids, because I assume that they watch a lot more black people content, or they've seen foreigners with that hairstyle. But maybe just seeing it in real life is weird. But hey, that made me very conscious. And now I'm very conscious of my hair. Whenever I go to work or whenever I change my hairstyle, I'm very conscious, super conscious of it. Yeah, and you might think that was the last time I wore that hairstyle, friend. No, I was like, you guys are going to get used to this. I'm not going to change myself for you. So the next time I felt maybe the first one was too big because my twists were very long. So when it creates a bun, it's a very big bun. And for us, the bigger the bun, the better. In Japan, they try to stifle their hair if it's long to make a very tiny bun. That's how they like their hair. And it's usually here or here if it's for like things like ballet. It's not common, but you'll see students who do dance, they'll have a tiny bun and they'll have like a little net on top of it or at the back of it. So they try to make it as small as possible. For us, what's beautiful, go as big as you can. So the next time I had the same hairstyle but shorter, and it made a pretty medium bun, I got the same reactions from the junior high school, but this time they were more muted. They were not as big. It was just like, oh, nice hair. Some said you have beautiful hair. Others just smiled or laughed, or maybe they think it's a funny hairstyle. Pineapple, broccoli. Some call it broccoli, especially when the Afro is out. They call it broccoli hair, pineapple hair. So expect such remarks, especially if your hairstyle is unusual to them. Yeah. That was the worst day of my life, if you ask me. The first time it happened, it was the worst day of my life. The second most embarrassing thing, this happened on the train. And it wasn't embarrassing in terms of, okay, let me just paint the picture. I was standing on the train and there was an old Japanese guy that was seated, but I was standing next to him, and he just held his hand and compared it to my skin and started laughing. He just smiled. It wasn't like an outburst, just laughed. But when you move here, you'll realize that many older people are open to speaking to foreigners compared to young people. Young people don't care about you, but the people you'll interact with the most are the older generation. They're just curious and they want to know where you're from. They will speak to you and do all these things. And then, yeah, so I don't think that was anything big. I just felt like it was a bit weird being in public and somebody doing that. The third and my last embarrassing moment was also to do with my hair and my skin color. So usually I don't teach first grade and second grade because they're like kindergarten. Think of them as the early years of kindergarten. So they don't learn English. They learn English from grade 3, 4 onwards. So one time my English teacher invited me to the music class. This is very common, just to have support, give them experience with a foreigner, etc. When I went to that class, it was really fun, but I disrupted the whole music class. So that wasn't the point because every kid wanted to hold my hand. So because it's a music class and it's kids, we do a lot of dancing and singing in circles and all these things. And kids started crying because this kid held my hand for too long. And the next round, another kid wants to hold my hand, but this one doesn't want to let go. So they're literally fighting to just hold my hand. That passed. The teacher dissolved it. And now we had to do a craft thing where we cut and join things with glue and color it to make a school bag. So because I was there seated and doing it, I had this particular hairstyle. I remember it was this low sleek bun. And the kids finished theirs and they started looking at me. They all surrounded me. And because they were just curious, they were looking at my hair. I could feel them looking at my hair. And one of them did this. Like they try to touch your hair and they remove their hand quickly so you don't notice them. And it was a very embarrassing moment because when we lay our hair, especially with gel, sometimes, depending on how much gel you used, it becomes dry or a bit hard. So I think this kid did something like this because he felt like the texture was not as silky, soft as theirs. So he did something like that. Another kid touched my skin and checked to see if color transferred to their skin. And it was a bit odd. Those two experiences didn't make me feel uncomfortable some type of way. No, it made me feel some type of way, but not uncomfortable. Right. I think that's the best way to describe it. It made me uneasy, but not fully outright. Like I was a bit embarrassed because I started thinking, what if I had a wig on? How would that feel? That would be very weird. But it's always like, it now became this battle of when I go to school, I don't know what hairstyle to wear. Or it becomes, I started thinking about my hair more compared to when I was back home. I really never had to think about my hair at all. But here, it's the order of the day, literally, especially when you don't have anyone to do your hair. And I do my hair, and sometimes I get tired of doing my hair. It becomes something that you think about more often, something you're more aware of because the environment is different. And I remember the first week, even when I was alone in the train, because I was in a train full of obviously Japanese people and I was the only black person. That's the first time I actually noticed my skin color. And we'll talk about that experience in the next episode. For now, see you next week. Share your experiences. Do you think these things are embarrassing or I'm just a sensitive person? But yeah, expect to be super conscious about your hair now. Something you never thought of. But if you can, learn to do your hair. That's the best advice I could give. Learn to do your hair. And probably when you get here, you'll realize that your preferences will start changing to feel more comfortable or to, not create a fuss and just be comfortable. See you again next week on the Free My Skin podcast. I've been your host, Opendo Nice. Bye.